Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video, we're taking a look at the GameSir T4 Mini. It's compatible with Android, iOS, Nintendo Switch, PC, and the Raspberry Pi. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, GameSir sent me the T4 Mini for a fair and honest review, and that's exactly what we're gonna do here. Taking a look at the back of the box for a quick breakdown of the features, the T4 Mini features a 6-axis gyroscope, asymmetric dual motors, real-time vibration feedback, translucent body with LED backlighting, and a 600 mAh battery good for about 10 hours of gameplay. GameSir states the T4 Mini works for Switch, Android, iOS, and PC. Now for Switch, Android, and iOS, this controller is wireless via Bluetooth. But for PC, this controller is only wired. Bluetooth doesn't work over PC. And just a fun fact here, I was able to get this to work on Raspberry Pi via a wired connection. Taking a look inside the box, and the very first thing I see is a USB-C cable. It's nice to see this controller works via USB-C. There's an instruction manual, which actually comes in handy because this controller has a lot of different features. And last but not least, the T4 Mini. On the face of the T4 Mini, we have 2 joysticks, a D-pad, a Y, X, B, and A button, and also buttons for plus, minus, home, screenshot, and a T button, which is used for turbo and a few other features. On the top of the controller, we have a sync button, a USB-C port, ZL, ZR, L, and R buttons. On the bottom of the controller, we have a set of lights that are used for player indicator and mode. Now, the back of the controller doesn't have anything on it, but you can see that the left and the right sides are raised a little bit, which helps out with grip. And trust me when I say this, you will be happy that this controller has those 2 bumps on the back because it is tiny. I find that the grips are mandatory given all of the buttons on this and to maintain leverage. Now looking at this controller in a bit more detail, ZL and ZR are not triggers, they're additional bumpers just like the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. I found the ABXY buttons to be fairly soft. They have a nice initial press, but afterwards it does get a little bit spongy if you press down hard on them. The D-pad on this one isn't too bad at all. You can completely press it down in the center, but it does retain quite a bit of articulation, which is something I like to see. The joysticks on this don't feel too bad at all, but I wish they went with a slightly softer rubber on the top. Here's how quickly they return to center. In terms of overall comfort, for a smaller controller, this one is actually pretty usable, and I don't have small hands. Now, I was trying to show off the LEDs because this controller does have LEDs under the Y, X, B, and A buttons as well as the joysticks. For some reason, my camera wasn't picking them up too much until I shut off the lights. So here's a better look at the LEDs. X is orange, A is red, B is green, and Y is blue. And you can also change up the color of the LEDs under the joysticks. Changing the colors is pretty simple. You press and hold the T button, and then you click the left joystick. You can also press and hold the T button and double-click the left joystick to change up the LED modes. Now testing this out on the Switch, and I did notice that the joysticks have a bit of a dead zone. Unfortunately, you can't adjust it. However, I did find the controller to be very responsive, both with the joystick and with the D-pad. In terms of responsiveness, it was very close to the Joy-Cons on the Nintendo Switch. Here is a completely non-scientific comparison. Now, for those of you wondering, yes, the T4 Mini can wake up the Switch. Now let's get into what I liked and what I didn't like about the T4 Mini, and we'll start out with what I liked. First and foremost here, the LEDs on this one are pretty cool. If you're into that kind of thing, well, this might be right up your alley. I like the D-pad on it. The D-pad is very responsive and very good. The battery life on this, rated at 10 hours, isn't too bad at all given the size, and the gyroscope on this one works surprisingly well. I like that it can wake up the Switch from sleep mode. That is a huge plus, and I do like the fact that you can change a bunch of things on here, from vibration to LED colors. Now let's get into what I don't like about this controller. First and foremost here, this one's kind of subjective, but it is a smaller controller and it's not necessarily comfortable for longer gaming sessions, unless you have small hands. Next up, I didn't like the dead zones in the joysticks. I found they should be tightened up just a little bit. And I also didn't like the fact that you can't connect this to PC wirelessly. You have to wire it in. And the very last thing I didn't like about this controller is how loud the vibration motors are. They are extremely loud. You can hear them across the room. They're louder than every other controller I have, and it's not even close. And you'd think for being this loud, the vibration motors would be strong, but they're not. They're actually very weak. Here's an idea of how loud these vibration motors are. So let's get into whether or not I'd recommend the T4 Mini. Right now it's listed on the GameSir website for $35.99, and it's also available on Amazon for $35.99. So for $35.99, I would recommend this controller if your needs are specific. You're looking for a smaller controller, you like the LEDs on it, and you want something that works extremely well with the Switch, because this controller will have you covered in those three categories. For pretty much everything else, I would probably pass on it. But anyways, that is all I've got for this video. Huge thank you to GameSir for providing the T4 Mini for a fair and honest review. Let me know your thoughts about the T4 Mini in the comments below. What do you think about the form factor, the LEDs, and all of the features I went over? If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Thank you everyone, take care.